Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be tackling something pretty wild, this concept of wasted human potential.
Wasted potential.
Yeah, we've got this excerpt from an article, and get this, the title is "The Potential Humanity is Wasting is Astronomical."
Whoa, that's a pretty bold statement.
Right. So it got me thinking, what if, just what if, every single person was actually able to reach their full potential? Like, no limits. What do you think, as a species, we could achieve?
It is a fascinating question. And the article doesn't mess around. It just dives right into the sheer scale of this untapped potential. And it's not even just about, individuals. It's about what we're missing out on as a society.
So paint me a picture. What's the scale we're talking about here? The source mentions some, really huge numbers, right?
Yeah, well, they start off by saying we waste billions of years.
Billions.
Billions of years of, collective human potential every year. It's crazy. It's basically like the combined lifespan, the productivity, the creativity of so many people who they never really get a real chance to, hit their full potential.
Billions of years. Okay, wow, that's a lot, but it's kind of hard to wrap my head around it. Can you break that down? I mean, what does that actually look like?
Okay, so think of it this way. Each of us, right? Each person, we represent this universe of potential. It's this vast network of neurons and synapses, and they're all firing away at these incredible speeds. The source compares our brains to galaxies.
Galaxies?
Yeah, with billions of stars. It's a pretty powerful image, right?
Yeah.
But when that potential is stifled or ignored, it's poof, star goes out.
Wow, I like that. So it's not just a number, it's all these lights going out.
Exactly. And the source brings up some stats, pretty sobering stats, actually.
Okay, hit me.
For example, did you know that 258 million children around the world, they don't even have access to the most basic education.
258 million.
Yeah.
That's more than the entire population of tons of countries.
Yeah, it is. And it's basically we're just losing a whole generation of, Einstein's, Picasso's, Marie Curie's, who knows what amazing minds are just gone just because they don't have the chance to learn and grow.
Okay, that's actually pretty heartbreaking. But, I mean, isn't that a little bit of an oversimplification? Not everyone is, destined to be some groundbreaking scientist or artist or whatever.
Of course not, but everyone has something. Everyone has some kind of talent or skill that could really benefit society. The point is when we block people from developing their potential, we're not just limiting them, individually. It's we're holding back our entire species.
Yeah. Okay. I'm starting to get the bigger picture here. So what's the article say about why this is happening? Why are we wasting so much potential?
They're saying it's this complicated mix of poverty, conflict, discrimination, lack of access to healthcare, education. They use this example of Jonas Salk. You know Jonas Salk.
Yeah, the polio vaccine guy.
Right, exactly. Think about all the lives his work saved and still saves to this day.
Yeah, Salk, total hero. But I'm not sure I see the connection here. What does a polio vaccine have to do with all this wasted potential?
Well, the article asks us to think about how many potential Salks are out there. How many brilliant minds are being held back by stuff they can't control? How many cures, discoveries, breakthroughs are we missing out on because people never got the chance to discover their gifts?
Oh, I see. So it's not just about the famous scientists. It's about everyone who could be making a difference.
Exactly. And the source makes this point that it's not just a moral issue. It's economic too.
Okay, now you're talking my language. Give me the economic argument.
They cite a study, I think it was from the World Bank, that found that for every single dollar invested in education, society gets up to $10 back in economic returns.
$10?
Yeah.
Whoa. That's a pretty amazing return on investment.
Yeah.
So why aren't we throwing more money at education?
That is the million-dollar question, right? The article highlights this fact that globally, the education funding gap is a whopping $148 billion every year. And that's peanuts compared to what we spend on, military budgets and stuff like that.
So what you're saying is we have the resources, it's just our priorities that are messed up.
It really seems that way. We could totally invest in people, but are we? It's the source uses this great analogy. Imagine a world-class orchestra.
Okay.
But a third of the musicians are missing.
Okay.
The music wouldn't be nearly as powerful or beautiful.
Yeah, that's a really powerful image. It makes you think about what we're missing out on. But how do we fix it? How do we go from just talking about the problem to actually doing something about it?
Well, that's what we're going to be looking at in part 2 of this deep dive. The article actually lays out this blueprint for change that's actually pretty compelling. It's ambitious, for sure,
Right.
but I think it gives us a good starting point.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's, okay, so we've kind of laid out the problem here, this huge amount of potential just go to waste. But how do we fix it? Does this source actually offer any, solutions?
It does. It's got this whole section called a blueprint for change. It's like a multifaceted approach to actually tackling this issue.
Multifaceted, huh? Sounds complicated.
It is, but it's not impossible, and I think it at least gives us somewhere to start.
Okay, so where do we begin? This feels pretty massive, right?
Well, they say it all starts with education.
Education.
Yeah, we need universal access to high quality education for everyone.
Okay, not just reading and writing, right?
No, not just the basics. It's got to be the kind of education that really pushes people, like critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, the kind that lets people, reach their full potential.
I'm with you there, but I've heard this before, right? Education is the key, blah, blah, blah. It feels a little, I don't know, simple. Is the source saying anything new here?
Yeah, they get that it's not just about providing access, right? We have to rethink what education even means in the 21st century. We're not just talking about standardized tests and memorizing stuff. It has to be engaging, relevant, personalized.
So more hands-on projects,
Yep.
individual learning plans, using tech in the classroom, that kind of thing.
Exactly. It's about meeting each student where they're at.
Yeah.
Everyone learns differently
Yeah.
and giving them the skills they need to actually make it in this crazy world that's changing so fast.
That makes sense. But let's be real. Even with the best education system, we're still going to have problems. What about poverty, healthcare, social inequality? Does this blueprint even touch on that stuff?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
The source is very clear that education can't just exist on its own, right? It's all connected. They really emphasize health, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, physical and mental well-being, it's just as important as education. If you're not healthy, it's really hard to, learn, grow, contribute to society. It's all fundamental.
So it's not just about access to doctors, right? It's about tackling the reasons why people are unhealthy in the first place. Poverty, malnutrition, not having clean water.
Exactly. It's about everyone having a real shot at a healthy life, no matter what their situation is.
Okay, education, health, got it. What else is in this blueprint?
They talk a lot about the power of technology, too.
Technology, how does that fit in?
Well, they argue that technology can be a great equalizer. It can bridge gaps, geographic and socioeconomic divides, and open up all sorts of opportunities.
Okay, I'm not sure I follow. Give me an example. How would this work in real life?
Think about online learning platforms, right?
Okay,
They can
sorry.
reach people in remote areas or people who, I don't know, can't go to a traditional school, or telemedicine, letting people connect with doctors even if they live in underserved communities.
Oh, I see what you mean. So technology isn't the solution itself,
Yeah.
but it's a tool, right?
Exactly. It can help level the playing field. But, and this is important, the source warns us about the downsides of tech, too.
Downsides, like what?
Well, the digital divide,
Yeah.
The gap between people who have access to technology and those who don't. And we have to make sure tech is being used ethically, responsibly. We don't want to make existing inequalities worse.
That's a good point. It feels like walking a tightrope.
It is. It's about finding that balance.
Okay, so education, health, tech,
Mhm.
anything else?
The last piece of the puzzle is this: government policies that really prioritize investing in people.
Okay, so things like affordable childcare, job training programs, maybe even a basic income. Things that give people a safety net so they can actually go after their dreams without worrying about, basic survival.
You got it. The source argues that those kinds of policies, they're not handouts, they're investments in the future, and they pay off big time in the long run.
I like that. It's like supporting people instead of punishing them for stuff that's out of their control.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we all win when everyone has a chance to thrive.
This all sounds great in theory, but I gotta ask, isn't this a little pie in the sky? These are big, big changes. Can we really pull this off?
You're right, it won't be easy. But the source makes this argument that it's not just possible, it's crucial for our survival.
Our survival, the survival of humanity, that seems a little dramatic.
Think about it. Climate change, pandemics, not enough resources. These are big problems. We need all the brain power we can get, right? We need people to be creative, to come up with solutions.
So you're saying unlocking human potential is about more than just like individual happiness. It's about whether we can solve these huge global problems.
Exactly. The source says the cost of doing nothing is way bigger than the cost of investing in people. When we don't invest in our potential, we all pay the price.
That's a pretty powerful argument. It's not just about doing the right thing. It's about, like, our own self-interest.
Right. Investing in people is our best shot at a future that's not just, like, surviving, but truly thriving.
Oh, okay. That's a lot to think about. But before we, get too deep in the weeds here, I'm curious, what would this world even look like? If we actually did all this, what kind of possibilities are we talking about?
That's the question we're going to tackle in part 3 of this deep dive. We'll look at the breakthroughs, the innovations, the solutions that could happen when we actually tap into all that amazing human potential.
Okay, you've got me hooked. Let's, okay, so we've talked about all this wasted potential and this blueprint for change, but now I want to, like, really get into it. What could a world where we actually unlock all this potential, what could that actually look like?
Well, the source kind of paints this picture, and it's pretty amazing, honestly. They're talking about breakthroughs that, like, a few decades ago, we would have thought were just sci-fi.
Okay, like what? Give me an example. What kind of breakthroughs?
They talk about space exploration specifically, like colonizing Mars, right? They say it's not just about the tech, it's a human challenge, too.
What do you mean?
We got to figure out how to, like, live sustainably, manage resources, even deal with the psychology of it all.
So it's not just about building rockets. It's about understanding how humans would, like, actually live on another planet.
Yeah, exactly. And the people who can figure that stuff out, they might be out there right now, but their potential is, like, hidden. Imagine what could happen if we could help those people, those minds, really flourish.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty mind-blowing. But what about problems here on Earth? Could this help us with stuff like climate change, poverty, all that?
Oh, absolutely. The source says we need some seriously radical new thinking to solve these huge global issues. We need fresh perspectives, new ideas, and people working together across, borders, disciplines, everything.
And they think unlocking human potential is how we do that.
They do. They think that somewhere in all that untapped potential, we'll find the creativity, the compassion, the ingenuity we need to build a better future, one that's, like, sustainable and equitable.
Makes sense. The source mentions AI too, right?
Yeah.
What do they say about how that fits into all of this?
They think AI could be this incredible force for good, but, and this is a big but, only if we develop it ethically. And inclusively.
Ethically, inclusively.
Yeah, they're imagining a world where AI is used to, like, empower people, solve problems, create a more just society for everyone.
That sounds great, but, I mean, isn't there a risk that AI could actually make inequality worse? I mean, we've already seen how algorithms can be biased, discriminatory.
Yeah, no, you're right. There are definitely risks. The source acknowledges that. They just think we need to be super careful, really thoughtful about how we develop AI and how we use it.
Careful how?
Well, they say it starts with education. We need to train a whole new generation of AI developers, people who aren't just, like, tech geniuses, but who also understand the ethics of it all. And we need to diversify the field, get more perspectives in there.
So, like, making sure that the people building AI are representative of the world we want to live in.
Exactly. And it's about having these open, honest conversations about the good and the bad of AI. Everyone needs to be involved, not just the tech elites.
So democratize AI, basically. Make sure it benefits everyone.
Yeah, that's the idea. And the source thinks that if we can, like, get this right, if we can use AI for good, well, it could unlock a future that's, like, almost unimaginable right now.
Okay, so after all this talk of wasted potential and big changes, what can I do? Like me, one person, what can I actually do to make a difference?
That's a great question, and I think the source gives a really powerful answer. It all starts with, like, recognizing your own potential and the potential of the people around you. Every act of kindness, every time you learn something new, every time you challenge injustice, you're creating this ripple effect.
The ripple.
Yeah, like your actions spread out and make the world a little bit better, a little bit more just, a little bit more equitable.
I like that. It reminds me that even small things can make a difference.
Exactly. And they challenge us to think about, what are you good at? What do you love to do? What small step can you take today to, like, unlock a little bit of that potential in yourself or in someone else?
Maybe it's volunteering, maybe it's mentoring someone, maybe it's just having a conversation with someone who's different from you.
It all adds up. Every action matters.
That's a really great thought to end on. We really can shape our own future.
Yeah.
We can unlock all that potential and build a world that's not just surviving, but thriving.
And hey, maybe we'll even colonize Mars along the way.
Huh? Yeah, why not? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. We hope you enjoyed it.
Until next time, keep diving.